It's amazing to think back when this all started, when this podcast was a kernel of an idea. I can still remember it. I had only quit drinking probably a week before, and it was hard. I was constantly tempted because I had been drinking a lot, most days for several years. So when you give up something like that, it creates this hole that you've got to fill. Otherwise, you'll just slide back into your old ways. I was out for a run. I was actually running sprints on a football field at a high school near where I live. And the idea for a podcast popped in my head.
Well, after the overwhelmingly positive feedback, I guess I'm going to start looking into doing a podcast. Don't expect anything from me for a little while, though. I want to get it right. That's the main thing, but stay tuned.
Where I would talk about all the different things that I enjoy. New England and Cape Cod history and travel, fun and foolish stories from my own life, a lot of 80s, 90s nostalgia, and honestly, the brainstorming, the planning, and now all the recording of all the episodes of the podcast, it all stems back to me giving up alcohol. At first, it was a way to keep me from drinking, and now it's just a part of my life. I'm not saying if I stopped doing the podcast, I would immediately start drinking again, but you never know, so please keep listening or else I'll become a drunk again. The show has grown and evolved over the years. Obviously, you heard at the beginning my first intro from the first show where it was way more subdued and news-like. And over the last 4.5 years, you listeners have gotten to be a part of kind of the evolution of my life. When I started this podcast, it was in the middle of COVID, so it was a way to feel connected to people. I started off, I did a whole bunch of interviews. I interviewed my buddy Steve about dedication to the craft, our photography, trips and tips. I interviewed my friend, Kaylin Orr. She was a personal trainer at the time doing stuff at different gyms. And now she owns her own gym, Misfits Studio. I interviewed my sister Kate when we were talking about her Wear Your Wish clothing and accessories brand. I interviewed my nieces Kaylee and Emma when they were in college during COVID. I interviewed my good friend Crystal, who's a Patreon subscriber, and we talked all about her cookbook. It's amazing the amount of fun memories that I have through 200 episodes of this show. I joke about doing time capsule segments every week on the podcast. The podcast itself now is a bit of a time capsule. You know, I changed jobs. I went from working at a retirement home in the kitchen. I quit in the middle of COVID because the retirement home I worked at was not great. So I preferred to kind of cut the cord and see what came next. I got a day job as a trainer and chiropractic assistant at Mind Body Spine Chiropractic in Brewster. When the podcast started, I had 5 books out. I now have 9. I mean, the biggest thing from the time that this show has been going is I got involved in the Lady of the Dunes murder mystery. Producer Frank Durant, during making this podcast, he found me. We talked. I wrote the book. He did the documentary. The case was solved. And you all who listened got to be kind of there in real time as things were going on. I became an actor during the time that this podcast has been going on. Granted, I've had 1 role so far, but still, that wasn't anything on my horizon. So much has changed, so much has evolved in my life, not just the podcast. So I'm so grateful to be at this point in my life, 200 episodes, with lots of loyal listeners, new people coming aboard every week. So anyone out there, if you've ever listened to 1 minute of one episode, thank you so much for giving my work a try. I'm going to continue to grow and evolve the podcast, my content creation. It's been the dream since I was 8 years old to do something in a creative field, self-sustaining with that, using my brain. Who knows where the show goes? I have enough content. I could easily do another 200 episodes. And who knows what happens in my life in that time. I know the movie that I filmed my first acting gig for in March, I believe it's coming out sometime early fall. I now have an IMDb page if you look me up. It's got 2 credits, this podcast and Serenading Romero, the video that I mentioned I did for my friend Frank Durant, the producer. I have producer and editor credits on it. Life is just one long journey. It's a road that you stay on, and the road never ends until life ends. Meaning that if you're not where you want to be in life right now, the road is not done. There are so many other roads to get you to where you're meant to be. There are very, very few people in life that it's A to B and you get what you want, where you want, doing what you want. Most people, it's a lot of roller coasters like I talked about in This Week in History. So if you're not where you want to be, just keep going day by day. You never know what day is going to be the day that something great happens for you. Showing up is half the battle.